It's the end of the day. It's time to close up shop. However, something tells you to stay back for a bit. For the next hour or two, you'll be staying after hours. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Double After Hours podcast. Once again, we're back.
Hi.
And this is post setup of, kinda.
Major, okay. Post-major setup of the set in Aaron's grandma's basement. So there we are.
And you're back.
I know, right? Yeah, so as you can tell, my mic is better. I am back in Michigan. I'm no longer in Iowa. I got done with college, or I guess my second year of college as of this recording.
Yeah. And we're so glad to have you back.
Thank you.
You came in and we destroyed my grandma's basement.
No, we fixed. We cleaned it up.
Yeah. Kind of.
Ish.
We moved things. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
We moved a lot of things over to the opposite side. Took us how long? 4 hours?
4 hours.
4 hours.
Yeah.
Of labor.
But it was good, though, because we have a table now. We have all the mic arms set up. We are ready to go with our in-person studio.
Yes, we are. Rocking and rolling. Got all these wonderful mics set up in our kind of a counterclockwise motion here around the rectangular table.
Right.
And, But once we get the video portion of this going, I think it will be a lot better.
Yeah.
But it's okay. What we got right now is perfectly fine, including that stain on the table that nobody can see. Just me.
It's wonderful.
It's beautiful.
We also have a Bolt plush on the table.
He's our centerpiece right in front of the board. It's great.
He's just staring at me. Just reminding me of all the slander I've said about this dog for months.
He's staring at me menacingly.
I'd do it all again.
Bolt round 2?
Yeah.
Speaking of...
Oh my god, I threw him in the trash accidentally. Hold on.
He landed perfectly in there. What?
Dude, I am such a good throw.
Yeah.
Could you tell I did baseball as a kid?
Yeah, there you go.
Able to throw Bolt perfectly in the trash.
Exactly. Speaking of Bolt, we do have an update to the Bolt podcast.
We do?
A joke that you had, you were like, were you there day one in the theater? Guys, I was. I just didn't remember it because I was like 4. It happened. I was there. I was in there. I don't know if it was day one, but I was in there for the theatrical release of the masterpiece of a movie, not really, that is Bolt. Lord have mercy. But anyways, that's not the focus of today's episode.
It is not.
We're not having Bolt round 2, although this has been one of the cold opens of all time. And there's going to be a lot of fun in the editing room.
It'll be fine.
It'll be fine.
It'll be fine.
A lot easier. But anyways, today we are going to be diving into work stories.
Yeah.
And tales of, does Zap Zone count as retail?
I mean, customer service.
Customer service, okay. Because I wasn't going to say, because I know there's a great subreddit out there. If you're ever bored, Tales from Retail.
Yeah.
It is historically funny. If you like reading and you like to have a good laugh, or if you just want to, kind of die inside a little bit,
amen,
and feel bad for people,
nah.
Which, I was about to say, there's no way you're going to sit there
my amen on that one.
Yeah. But it's a great read if you've ever been on. If you like Reddit and you like reading and you like feeling bad for people sometimes, or if you just want to laugh, that's a great one. Tales from Retail. But we're going to be telling our tales from customer service and, in your case, DoorDash.
Yeah, I guess I'll start off with, with my favorite, because you have way more work stories than I do. This is going to be a Aaron tell-all, if anything, of the podcast. Yeah. So I will find my way to weasel in when I can, but I'll start off with one of my favorite DoorDash stories. So this was one of my first few weeks last summer when I was on the job. Mm-hmm. And so here's the fun thing about DoorDash. Obviously, it's very simple. Yeah. They tell you where to go, you go there. Sometimes it isn't that complicated. Sometimes you go to someone's workplace, sometimes you go to someone's home. Usually it's their home. This time it was different. Now, there was a setting, or I guess a notification on this app. Usually it's go to this person's address, right? As a previously established. But this time, it was meet them at a rendezvous spot. Which obviously means you two will be meeting at a neutral location.
Of course. So like a Craigslist, right?
Yeah. Okay. I have never seen this before in my life, and I still haven't. This is still the only DoorDash delivery I've ever done where they've told me to meet at a rendezvous location.
And you've done a lot of DoorDashing, right?
I have. Yeah. I have paid the man many, but my point here is that for some reason it still gave me a house address. So I figured, you know what? He butt dialed it probably, or accidentally put in a wrong setting. Yeah. I'll go to this guy's house. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Surely his workplace won't be too far behind. I'll figure this out.
Yeah.
So I drive to this guy's workplace. Now, keep in mind, this is like Booney Howellville. This is like the lights were a little dim. I'm not going to say it was Gotham, but I am going to say I wasn't exactly fully comfortable in the night.
Okay.
So I walk up to this guy's porch, and I can kind of hear him in the other room. So I'm like, okay, he's here. We're good.
Yeah.
So because the specific instruction on the phone, it said to call him first. So I said, you know what? I'll call him first. Maybe he just doesn't want to be randomly notified. Maybe he doesn't check his phone, whatever. So I call him like, hey, I'm outside your door. I have your Taco Bell or whatever. Yep. And he's like, give me a second. Husky voice, Aaron.
Oh, no.
Husky,
okay.
So he opens the door, and Aaron, you know the people from WALL-E in the chairs?
Yeah.
They would squeal like piglets compared to the stature of this man. Shirt, unnecessary. No shaving went on in this chest. So it's like I'm looking at like a monster cat, like a hairball. Like, you know, like the Family Guy cutaway where it's like, oh my gosh, what's his face? Harassing the minion. I totally forgot his name.
Harvey Weinstein,
yeah. Imagine that, but whiter.
Okay, so this guy, whiter Harvey Weinstein.
So this guy opens the door.
Yeah.
And he looks at me. I look at him like, I got your DoorDash, dude. And he's like, thank you. So I place it on, I give it to him or whatever, and I start walking away. So, and then I hear his voice say, hey. I look towards the door. He looks at his finger. He points at me and beckons. Yeah. Stay there. Now, in any normal scenario, I would have run. But here's why I didn't. For one thing, as I previously established, this man's a chunky monkey. I wasn't exactly worried about him catching up to me quickly. Granted, the obvious rebuttal is, but Charlie, what if he had a weapon?
Right.
Good point. Didn't think that far in my decision making. Thank God.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting out there for a few minutes, curious about what my fate is going to become. And he comes out with a very wrinkled $5 bill. Oh. And he's like, you know what? You didn't have to call me and do all that. Keep the change. Or something like that. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Like, hey, I guess this is what we're doing now.
Thinking I was about to get shanked. And thus, that was the last night of my last dash of that night. Kind of went home feeling a little better about myself that I didn't turn into, I don't know, a rug for that guy.
Yeah, probably. He didn't put you in the meat grinder. From what you're describing to me, this sounds like he would just have that in the garage.
Kind of, yeah.
He's just, it's like gas powered. You gotta, get it going.
What's weird about DoorDash is that a lot of people don't wear shirts.
Wow.
When you go to, listen, I'm not trying to insult anyone for not wearing a shirt in their own apartment. It's the privacy of your own home.
Of course.
I get it. I wouldn't wear a shirt too. Or pants. Sometimes I don't care.
No.
But, if you're, expecting to meet a dasher face-to-face,
right.
I'm sorry. I don't want to see, your three little piggies in the front or whatever we're going to call this now. Put on anything, a robe, I don't care.
Yeah.
Something.
Wow.
Something. So that's my goofiest DoorDash story. Aaron, I think we got to hit you.
Yeah. Well, just kind of, I know Bryce doesn't like when I say this, but tapping off of that.
I'm so confused. I've heard that phrase before, not just from you. I don't get it.
Yeah, I know. It's a phrase.
Yeah.
Bryce. Anyways.
Oh, Bryce. We love
Bryce. You. We love you. Yeah. But anyways, tapping off of that, you said a lot of people don't wear shirts when the DoorDash driver shows up. That's something I always I don't want to say I guess conscious about.
What, you're like a WHMI where you currently work, you're like, man, thank God these listeners can't see me.
Yeah, there you go. Well, sometimes I am. Sometimes I'm very thankful because I just kind of show up.
Right.
Because on weekends they don't really have there's nobody there. It's just me, and they don't even have cameras over there, which is really strange. But they don't, unless they're hidden really well. I don't think they are. So I just kind of just show up. I do my thing. I can just wear whatever I want. They don't care.
Yeah.
But Obviously, when there's other people there, then yeah, I gotta look a little bit nice. But when I'm on the radio, nobody can see me. When I'm on a podcast, at least these early episodes, which
you can't see us.
You can't see us at all. No, absolutely not. I could be shirt off right now, and you wouldn't even know. But no, I usually always try to make sure I have a shirt on for the DoorDash driver,
right?
Because I'm not. I try not to be that person. I know I live in Waterford, and if you know, I know we have a listener in Belgium for our podcast, so they're probably like, Waterford, what's that, right? Or maybe Waterford, Ireland. I don't know. Which I do want to visit Waterford, Ireland.
That's a thing?
Yeah, it is. It's beautiful.
Wow.
But Waterford, Michigan, for those that don't know, there's two sides. There's Waterhood and Watertucky.
Yeah.
It's two sides. And I try not to associate too much with the Waterhood side. Watertucky is a little, just a little slightly better. Not by much, but a little
Slightly.
bit. Slightly, yeah. But anyways, for those who are not local, just want to, fill you in on this neck of the woods. But anyways, work stories. Back to what we're actually talking about here. So, for those that don't know, I've mentioned this a few times on the former radio show that we used to do.
Yeah.
Which, trying to clean up from episode number 3. Aged very well. But,
I mean, informative, but...
Yeah.
Did not age well at all.
No, did not at all. Period. But anyways, so I used to work at Zap Zone.
Oh,
now,
boy.
for those that don't know what Zap Zone is mostly a Michigan thing. So if you've ever been to Michigan, you've seen a Zap Zone. Think Chuck E. Cheese light.
Yeah.
But with more... Laser tag is kind of their thing.
Yeah.
That's why it's called Zap Zone. Yeah. In fact, we still actually get a lot of people that... did... Let me say did, because I don't still work there.
Right.
But we used to get a lot of people in there that would say like, oh, can I get a couple passes to the Zap Zone? And of course we always knew what they meant.
Right.
But yeah, so they're like a laser tag arcade. They had glow golf, which is basically mini golf, but it's like under all these like cool black lights, so you get all the
right.
bright shiny colors.
Perfect for a rave.
Yeah,
for 2-year-old.
Exactly, the 2-year-old rave. We had bumper cars. There was like a kind of a jungle gym zone they had in the corner. Yeah. For a while they had VR, which
that's right.
Which is the point of this episode. Tales from the VR. Mm-hmm. Not very fun. And I think I might actually start with a VR story because it's there's so many tales of the VR. Aaron tells all. So what this is going to become. But it was a fun place to work. I will say that. It kind of went a little downhill later on. But when I first started, it was a very fun job. Until you'd get the weirdos. Now the weirdos were the weirdos.
Thanks.
They were.
Aaron.
Oh, no.
I think you should get a Pulitzer for that description.
Not again.
Aaron, we know they're weird, but elaborate, please. Why?
Why were they weirdos?
Yes.
Okay. Well,
what did they do?
Well, let me tell you some of the weirdo stories. But I'll start with a VR story. I'll tell you, it's a 2-in-1. Weirdo and a VR.
Combo pack.
Oh, combo pack. Absolutely. So there was... There were a lot of parents that were very strange. Like, they would bring their kids in for like...
It's like halfway towards Rod Sterling.
Yeah. Submitted for your approval. A parent that comes into Zap Zone and wants to ride on the VR, but then he doesn't get an employee to actually help him. So he puts the kid on the VR ride himself and doesn't wire it correctly. Doesn't put on any of the straps for the ride that goes upside down. And then he starts the ride.
Oh, no.
This is where the fun begins.
Oh, no.
So, yes, that is a true story. There was this guy that came in one time. He had his kid, and he was over at the VR. And the VR, what you will learn if you ever work at Zap Zone, or if you currently work at any kind of fun center, is people don't read. People don't read. People don't read. People don't listen. They don't.
They don't.
Just one ear out the other. And I know I'm wearing headphones, but still, one ear out the other. You can't see that. These people, his people,
Batman.
Yeah.
Society doesn't learn to read.
Yeah. They decided that they were not going to wait for an employee to help them out for this particular event. Now, at Zap Zone, we used to have, we still have them. We used to have physical tickets for, like, going into laser tag or bumper cars or anything like that.
Right.
But they moved on to cards. So everything you had to swipe your card for it, right? And that was very true for the arcade games. But what we get very often is people would the swipers for like bumper cars or laser tag or anything like that were out in the open, which was very stupid on the management's end. They were very open, and you could just swipe your card. Like, you didn't have to swipe a manager card or anything, or an employee card. You just swipe your card, and it would take the ticket off your card.
Yeah. So
you'd get a lot of kids that would just randomly swipe their cards in the machine and just go for it, right?
Yeah.
So we got this back to the original story here, and I'm getting a little off track. But they swiped their card, walked in, and the VR, what it was, basically it's like a chair that was attached to this big contraption that would, like, you put the headset on, you sit in the chair, we'd strap you in. There was like a bunch of straps. It was like literal jet straps.
Yeah.
And we'd strap you all in, and then you would go on these like VR roller coasters. Like, one of them had a shooting game on it. It was pretty cool, actually. It was genuinely pretty cool. But you have to have an employee over there to set it up right.
Right.
Because, that's a liability.
That's expensive equipment.
Right. So it was kind of a slower day, so we only had a few people on staff, including myself. And the guy walks in, and like, he swipes his card and everything, and he thinks it's self-serve, even though we have like thousands of signs that say, please wait for an employee to help you out.
Right.
Or if there's no employee over there, call an employee. We'll come over, we'll help you out. But that's not what he did. He goes in, he sits his kid in the machine, and he seemed like he had seen us operate this before, because he knew how to do it.
Right.
So he put the kid in there, and I think he only put like one of the straps. I don't remember. My memory's a little hazy on this, because it was a while ago. But he either put one strap or no straps. He put the kid's headset on, and he went over and he just started the machine. He just started the ride. And so this was one of the rides that went upside down.
Right.
There was a few rides on there that didn't, which was for, the younger kids that wanted the VR experience that doesn't go upside down and not scare them. But this kid did.
Oh.
He went on the worst one.
The most intense one.
The most intense one. And I spotted this out of the corner of my eye, because I was over at the bumper cars, which was like a direct line of sight.
Yeah.
So I see this kid and the parent trying to operate this machine, and I got up and I started booking it over there, because they had cameras everywhere, so if they just kind of saw me doing nothing, that's liability.
Right.
There you go. That's a lawsuit waiting to happen.
Right.
So I booked it over there and said, hey, whoa, what's going on here? And he was like, oh, we're trying to get on the VR ride. And I was like, I tried to show him the sign. I was like, hey, you gotta wait for an employer to go get an employee to go do it. And they were like, oh, we didn't see that.
Billions of signs, refuses to read.
Yeah, right. And that's where a lot of my stories come in, is a lot of people just not reading things.
Yeah.
There was another time, this is mostly going to be a Zap Zone thing, but I do have a couple of stories from radio as well.
Yeah.
Which ties into the what's broadcasting like, kind of. It's broadcasting horror stories, let's just say that. But anyways, so there was this other time, and this happened a lot, is kids would try to break into the jungle gym area.
Sure.
Because for whatever reason, they didn't really set it up correctly. So what they did was they had a pass key that would allow you to get in, and it would open this like foam gate kind of thing, which was fine. And on the other side, they had a little, it wasn't a button. It was like a thing that you could wave your hand in front of.
Okay.
And it would open it up. Right. It was like infrared or something. I don't know. But what they did, and they screwed this up, and they never really realized it, is that there was a little gap between the door and the wall. Oh. So what you could do is you could stick your hand in there, wave it in front of the sensor, and just open the door. And, Bob's your uncle. A lot of people would let their kids into the jungle gym without, there'd be another kid in there. Yeah, absolutely. Trying to get freebies. We had, this might be cut out of the edit. I don't know how extreme we could get with this one.
Sure.
So future Aaron, just be aware of this one. We did have a lesbian couple that went inside of the inside of the jungle gym. Went
just
up to
go
the
to town.
Went to town. 110%.
Just like moans and all.
And they were on camera too. Oh yeah.
Wow.
And they were on camera too. And there were kids in there.
No. Okay.
There were kids in there, and they were just right there.
Did they hear?
I think they did. And I went up to we had walkie-talkies.
Sure.
So I got on the walkie-talkie. I was like, "Hey, lesbian ahoy!" And I didn't.
Wait, what is this Family Guy? Where you're just like,
yeah.
Whoa, lesbian ahoy!
Yeah, there you go. So I said that. I was like, "Hey, we got a situation. Can I get a manager over here?" And one of them came over, and I was kind of explaining the situation. They were on camera too.
Sure.
So there were cameras. They were constantly watching it. So the parents outside, there's a little TV so the parents could watch their kids and just make sure what was going on, because it was 2 levels. Couldn't really see what was going on at the top level. So they're just watching this all unfold. And one of my best friends from Zap Zone that I still am in really good contact with him, his name is Hayden. He's got a bunch of stories too. Maybe I could get him on a podcast eventually. But he comes over and he's watching this happen on the screen.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, this is happening. And so they got thrown out promptly. What's the for?
I don't know.
What's that all about there, bud?
There's no trial, there's no jury, there's no judge. Just like, get out.
Yeah, not yet. I don't know if they ever did anything. There was a time when somebody did press charges.
Before we get into that story, because I do have a story about people not reading.
Okay.
Involving me.
You tapping off. Yes.
There you go. Because I didn't read in this one particular instance twice. So I was door dashing one fateful night. Mm-hmm. And this was a gated community I was supposed to go to, right?
No.
And you know with gated communities, they have a code on the gate that you're supposed to open so that way everything's fine, right?
Hunky-dory.
Now, in the DoorDash app, there is a section of like a notes section where you can put this in.
Yeah.
This wasn't the customer's fault. This was my fault. They genuinely put in the code to read. So this is my error, not the customer's fault at all.
Yeah.
And so I'm like at the gate and I'm sitting there just like trying to figure out what the heck am I supposed to do? Because again, I didn't read. So like I'm calling I don't even remember who I was calling. Some kind of front desk people like, hi, I'm door dashing. I need to get in. This pizza's getting cold. Some stupid nonsense like that. And I was getting nowhere, absolutely nowhere. Like and luckily,
weren't responding to you at all.
Yeah, okay. And by the grace of God, someone else from the community was like pulled up behind me, like, "Hey, do you need the code?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they like gave me the code, and I entered in. Sweet, you're all good. I delivered the food. Everything's great. Now, the opposite gate did not to exit. Mm-hmm. Did not have that same quirk. I think you just like pressed a button or something, or the code, whatever.
Right.
Now, here's the thing with those gates. Mm-hmm. The other gate extended backward, right? So you didn't have to move. So there wasn't like a stop sign you were supposed to. This one moved outward. So there's a stop sign for your car so that we don't get hit by the gate. Oh, no. I didn't see this initially. So the gate starts moving.
Yeah.
I do the quick math, realize I'm about to get hit, throw the car into reverse, floor it, so that way I barely missed the gate.
Wow.
Now, this is why you read, ladies and gentlemen, so that way your Ford Explorer from 2014 doesn't get turned into an omelet.
This is why you don't have gates that extend outwards. That just kind of, to me,
but to me, it was very clearly labeled to stop.
Sure, but
I was in my own little world, like, I got this. Oh, no.
I mean, I understand that, but that's so weird,
right?
Like, what I would understand ones that like go up, but not ones that go.
I don't know, man.
I don't know.
Because again, it's a gated community. They want to keep the ruffians out.
Gated communities, am I right? But,
what do you got to hide?
Yeah, exactly. Well, this next story was a great segue here. My next story here from Zap Zone. It's a fun one. So. Let me preface this by telling you a little bit about the owner of that particular store.
Oh boy.
So the owner of this store, his name is Joe, and Joe was, let's just say, kind of a big meanie head. Not all the time. He wasn't like a big meanie head all the time, but he was a lot of the time. Like, he was kind of the stuck-up guy, and everybody kind of thought he was really scary, but then he sounded like this.
What, Pee Wee Herman?
He sounded like Pee Wee Herman, and it was the funniest thing ever. And I always wanted him to say, "My bike," but he never did. Unfortunately, he never did. But anyways, Joe was a nice guy unless you pissed him off. If you pissed off Joe, you were in a world of hurt.
Right.
Because he's the owner of the store. He makes a lot of money, right? He's got power. Let's just say that. So anyways, I didn't catch the first half of this, but I asked somebody later that witnessed it. And apparently there was this group of kids that came in. This is another common theme you're going to hear across this episode is these kids came in.
Right.
Which I think this honestly might have to be a two-parter about Zap Zone because I just have too many stories to tell.
Bring in your employees.
Yeah, absolutely. So these kids came in and they were apparently where they were eating in, I guess, because Zap Zone has food. They have really good pizza, by the way. If you're ever in Michigan or if you do live in Michigan and you want genuinely good pizza, Waterford Zap Zone.
Don't go to an actual pizza place. Go to the laser tag.
Yes.
Remember that.
Yes. But I'm serious.
Dignity, shots.
Shot, exactly. But Waterford Zap Zone, I'm telling you, honest to God, great pizza there. Because the guy that works there, his name is Cho. He's awesome. I don't know if that's probably not going to age very well at all. He might have retired by now.
Right.
But anyways, from when I was working there, he made fantastic pizzas. Anyways, getting back on track here. Now I want Zap Zone pizza, even though I just ate.
We just ate.
I know we just ate.
I just paid for your dinner.
Yeah, I know. And I appreciate you didn't have to do that.
I did not.
But he did it anyway.
Because that's how cool I am.
He's nice.
I'm going to put water on the board.
Yeah, that's all over. Well, these speaking of damaging things, this kind of goes into that. So these kids came in, they were eating in, and they decided for whatever reason that they were the eating area had a bunch of art on the walls that was really irrelevant. It was very irrelevant artwork. It was like girls rule the future or something. And it was like,
I remember it being a lot of video game stuff, though.
It was a lot of video game. There was a few video game stuff, but at the Waterford location, for whatever reason, they just put up these really unnecessary posters.
Right.
It was just really, I don't know. It's just my own personal opinion. You might like them if you ever go, but apparently I know. But apparently these kids really liked them, and so they started kind of messing with them a little bit.
Ooh.
And this really ticked off Joe, who was actually there that day.
Yeah.
He didn't show up usually often. It was more weekends since Zap Zone is kind of the premier weekend place.
Right.
So he was always there on Saturdays. Always. So he shows up and he's watching the cameras in the back. He's got his little, I call it the Joe hole. Because that's exactly what it is.
Better than other holes.
Yeah, better than other holes, yes. But he sat basically in the Joe hole and he watched, these cameras and he saw these kids doing it. So he went out, he comes storming out, and he's kind of a shorter guy too, so he kind of
like exact height. Like 5'9", 5'8"?
I think he was probably like 5'9".
Okay.
Yeah. So he comes waltzing out. Like he's kind of doing like the... There's a clip from Tom and Jerry, when Tom hires the other cats to come in.
Yeah.
And they're doing like that little walk, that little angry shuffle. That's exactly what he looked like. You can look this up. If you're driving, no. But if you're sitting in your house, look up the Tom gif from Tom and Jerry where he brings the other cats in to go get Jerry. Yeah. It's really funny. But that's exactly what he looked like. And he comes storming in there and he rounds up all these kids and brings them over to the prize area. And he starts yelling at them.
Ooh.
And he's like, why are you touching all my stuff in there? Are you trying to steal it? I'm calling the police. He calls Waterford police.
On kids?
They were about 15, 16.
Okay, I don't feel as bad then.
Okay. Yeah. I should have prefaced maybe teens. Yeah. So he calls Waterford police on him. And this is a common thing that happens. At Zap Zone of Waterford. Police get called all the time. Police get called, they show up, and they're investigating these kids, right? And apparently, I guess they like from what I understand, they broke something, and so like all these kids are like, or these teens are like bawling their eyes out, and one of them grabs their wallet, pulls it out, and he pulls out a $5 bill, and he's like, "Will this cover it?"
No.
I don't know what they broke. So I don't know if this was like, if they genuinely broke something expensive, or if they like, I don't know, popped a hole in one of those like 3D pictures or something.
Right.
I don't know, but they were freaking out. And the funniest part is Joe had them cornered in the prize corner. Like the prize stand. So there's like a bunch of kids that are like up at the prize counter trying to cash in their tickets. And then just in the corner, you have Joe screaming his head off at these 4 teens.
With police there.
With police, yes. With Waterford police out there with their lights still on, just yelling at these kids. I was like, why are you there? Just take him back to the Joe hole and yell at him.
Like, Lord knows that's where kids want to be, Aaron.
Yeah, they want to be all around Joe's hole.
Aaron, that's a felony. This is a kids' entertainment center.
Yeah. Well, we've had our fair share of adult stories, with stories with not adult stories like Book of Chicka Wow Wow, but like, like stories with adults.
Right.
And I have a fair share of those. Did you have a story or two? Because I've been yapping for a bit.
I'm trying to think.
This is the Aaron Yap Hour.
I'm fine with that, dude.
Okay.
We haven't had one of those in a fat minute, so
Yeah.
I am way okay with that.
Okay.
I guess in terms of other nonsense, I mean, this isn't technically a work story, but it's kind of funny because it was related to when we did the radio show, and I consider that work.
Oh, yeah, it was.
This wasn't on the show itself, but when we did have the show, we had a number that people could call. Yeah, Aaron already knows where I'm going with this. And to request songs or whatever and talk to us or whatever on the air.
Yeah.
So, and when you say anything enough, especially that number, it bleeds into your everyday life.
Yeah.
So one time I was at a GameStop, right? Because I wanted to buy something, whatever happens to the best of us.
Of course.
And for some reason, this was like a Tuesday night or whatever I went because I don't know, I had nothing to do, I guess. This GameStop was busy because, like, I guess people were like returning in their whole game collection or some other nonsense, some ridiculous stuff like that.
Why would you take that to GameStop?
I don't know. But to be fair, okay, what made it funny is that like half of these games not returnable.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's in now.
Yeah.
No research prior.
That's when you take them to the used game store and they'll give you a $2. They'll give you $1. But,
right. And so I'm sitting there like I have time to think about exactly what I'm going to say to these yahoos because I'm weird. So eventually all these people finally scatter because they got done trading in Madden 15.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, I have my thing. It's like, do you have a phone number with us? I do. And instead of giving my actual phone number, which I will not repeat, I gave in the in-studio number for WPON when we still did a show there. And I had to sit there and like pivot and just be like, wait a minute, no.
Yeah, wait a minute. Hold
Guys,
on.
I lied to you. Like, I just can't. Why?
That's fantastic.
We're done doing the show, and it still permeates.
Yeah, of course. Of course. That phone number will never go away.
We're not repeating it here.
Yeah, we're not going to repeat it here.
We're not repeating it here.
Yeah, especially the fact that now we're on iHeartRadio, our podcast, so that's fantastic. That will be great when they kick us off.
No.
Future-proofing.
We're perfect.
Yeah. I read their terms of service for podcasts. It's like, oh, nothing vulgar.
Anyway, guys, when I was at the strip club.
Yeah. Back in my day,
when the only clothes we had was a loincloth and a dream.
There you go. So, adult stories, not Book Chicka Wow Wow. Trying to fit within terms of service.
NSFW, but
yeah, because that I don't think that ever.
Yeah, we're not doing that. That
ever really happened at Zap Zone.
Yeah, just the teens.
But. Yeah, just the lesbos and the thing, but that was not really Book of Chicka Wow Wow.
Right.
It kind of was, but not really. Anyways, it could be to some people.
They're just making out or whatever.
Yeah, basically. But anyways, This one I will never forget. So I had a manager that used to work there. His name was Chris. Chris was awesome. He now works actually at a game store that's around here.
Ooh.
He's awesome. I love Chris. Haven't talked to him in a while, but he was an awesome guy. We used to talk video games all the time. He was cool. And he would actually probably have some good work stories too, because he worked everywhere.
Right.
So, but anyways, so this guy came in, and he was with it. I think he was either with his wife or his girlfriend. I don't remember, but they came in because they were doing an escape room. That's the other thing that Zap Zone had, was an escape room. They were ridiculously overpriced, and they were kind of not great. And they only had 4 of them. So once you did all of them, which I did, in fact, I actually trained on them for a while. And I still have the notes to all of them. So, yeah, if anybody wants Waterford Zap Zone escape room notes and how to complete the entire thing in record time.
Really gonna tease the audience like that?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But you got to be willing to make the trip if you're not in Michigan, or if you're on like the other side.
Sorry,
of Michigan.
one Belgian listener.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. You got to come over here to experience that. But we love you, one Belgian listener. You are awesome. Whoever you may be, please email us.
You almost gave the show email.
I almost gave the show email. Show email
doesn't exist anymore. The double after hours podcast at gmail.com. That's our actual email.
There you go. Please email us. We would love to find out who you are. And then maybe even have you on a podcast. How about that?
Wow.
Ask you, why are you listening to us?
In Belgium.
In Belgium.
Yeah, better things to do.
Right.
I don't know, like fight the establishment.
Yeah, there you go. So this guy came in with his girl. And I'm just going to say his girl, because I don't know if it was his wife or girlfriend. I don't know.
Right.
But they were coming in to do an escape room. And this guy was hammered.
Ooh.
He was absolutely blasted out of his mind. He didn't know whether he was here or on the moon or talking to a Martian. He didn't even know. So this guy... He walks upstairs, and his girl knew that he was absolutely blasted. Yeah. Which I don't know if they were just thinking like a drunk escape room would be fun, but he was not like funny drunk. He was like angry wife beater drunk. Yeah. No, it wasn't fun. But he wasn't like mean to his wife. He was mean to staff.
Oh, that's awful.
So he went upstairs, and I guess they were waiting for the escape room. Now, the first thing you do when you go to an escape room, you always go to the regular front desk, because there's usually not anybody up there at the escape room.
Yeah.
The escape room desk. You always go to the front desk, you check in, and then they'll call on the thing. They say, hey, so-and-so, we need you to go run an escape room. Okay, great. They go upstairs. They run your escape room. Bob's your uncle. Can't wait to say Bob's your uncle 50,000 times in this podcast.
Wonderful.
So anyways, he shows up, and he goes upstairs first. There's nobody up there. He's drunk. He's pissed. He is pissed. So I'm standing at the front desk, and I'm with Chris. It was kind of a slower day. We're just sitting there shooting the breeze. We're talking about video games. He's talking about, I forget what we were talking about. I think we were talking about League of Legends or something. I'm
so sorry.
Yeah, I know. But it's fine. We talked about some other games too. He was an awesome guy. But anyways, this guy comes down, and he starts sprinting full speed towards the front desk. And I'm looking back at him. I'm looking at him. He is charging it towards me. And I'm like, there's no way. This is not happening. Am I going to have to fight this guy? Am I going to have to fight this guy right now? Am I going to have
teenage Aaron Gresser has to fight the 40-year-old drunk man?
Yeah. Is it time? Is it Lord, tell me when, right? This is exactly what's going on right now.
Let me loose.
That's what's going through my head. So he does this like really comical stop. Like when he's running, he kind of like does like a skid almost. He doesn't fall, but he like kind of like slows himself down.
Like what? Like he's like Sonic the Hedgehog, like moving his arms. You're like, whoa.
Yeah, pretty much.
Jeez.
Pretty much. He's fuming, and he's genuinely fuming. I'm not making this up. He's running towards there, and he does this really comical stop, and he looks me dead in the eyes, and he goes, "Will you give somebody up there for me, you dirty little, like, family show." But you can fill in the blanks. He is cursing up a storm. He is pissed.
Right.
And Chris comes along, and Chris is an older guy. He's like in his, I think at the time he was in his 30s, I want to say. Maybe late 20s, early 30s.
Sure.
So he comes up. He's a lot taller than me. A lot bigger guy, too. He comes up, and he like kind of pushes me behind him. And he stands up, because he's much taller than this dude.
Yeah.
So this dude's like kind of looking up at him. Looking up at Chris. And Chris goes, "We will have somebody up there for you. Do not harass my workers." And I was like, whoa. I've never seen this side of Chris before at all, period. And he goes, "Can I get somebody out here?" He just didn't even hear him.
Yeah,
right? He was just so drunk he didn't even know. And so his girlfriend comes running down, starts sprinting at him too, and she's like, babe, stop doing this. Can't get somebody upstairs.
Totally disregarding her.
Yeah, just totally disregarding. And his girlfriend is like, she's so embarrassed, so embarrassed.
It's awful.
And I felt that for her too, because he's making a fool of himself.
Yeah.
Absolutely making a fool. It's causing a scene. So she's pulling him away, like trying to get him. She's like, I'm so sorry. He's always like this. And so, and then they eventually got somebody for him, and that was the end of that. And then he stopped being mean drunk.
Do you know how long it took for him to do the escape room?
I think he maxed out the timer. Because there is a time limit on it. I think it's
like an hour.
Yeah, it's an hour. Yeah. So they maxed out the time limit easy.
I'm just imagining he's like in there, just like, you need to find the key, and he's like, "Rah!" Like tearing apart the room.
Absolutely.
Like the key is comically in the middle, and he's just not getting it.
Oh, of course. Another escape room story that actually is on the same topic of boyfriend girlfriend. There was a guy. It was actually a group that came in to do an escape room. And his girl was waiting upstairs, and he was still in the car, and broke up with her right then and there.
Excuse me, what?
For a fully paid escape room, he broke up with her right then and there, just for no reason.
Like, why?
And so she was with a friend group. Like, it was like a group thing. It was like a boyfriend, girlfriend. And they were all like comforting her. She was like freaking out. But she came up to the front desk. She was like, "My boyfriend broke up with me right then and there. Can we get like a refund or something?" And I think she ended up getting some store credit, because we really didn't do refunds. But I think she got some like store credit, like some arcade points or something. But yeah, there was that time too.
That's so awful.
To just do that right then and there.
Right.
But there you go. I've been yapping for a little bit. He's trying to think. I have so many. I'm sorry.
So many of my door dashing days are just spent like driving aimlessly in like booty cheeks nowhere, like butt tucky Michigan.
No.
Like just I guess a really random one is that there's a lot of people who like just live in the most random of back alleys who DoorDash. I get it. And one time I had to end up driving to Hell, Michigan.
Nice.
The place itself, heaven on earth. Yeah. And I'm
That's good.
I'm sitting there, I guess driving there, trying to deliver this nonsense pizza. And the thing is like, when you have to deliver out to the Booney Lands, USA,
right,
your internet isn't as good, obviously, because there's not as much cell like tower stuff over there.
Yeah.
Which is obviously a problem when your whole job relies on internet. So I'm driving out there, right? Booty cheeks nowhere, trying my absolute best to figure out how I'm not going to get shanked by Jason Voorhees out here.
Of course.
And so
it's like Children of the Corn.
Yeah, honestly, with the way some of these people live, like I'm sure in the day, perfectly lovely. I'm sure it's fine. But when you're at night and like you're in like 1 lane wide like trails, like driving your Ford Explorer to figure out the world, it's not exactly fun.
What was that? What was the name of the main kid from Children of the Corn? Was it like Ezekiel or something?
Something like that.
It was like, get them now. I want them taken.
Killed. I want them to get takeout.
Yeah.
I want them to get Marco's pizza. But anyway.
There you go.
It's always Marco's.
It's always Marco's. Oh, Marco's.
So I'm like driving out there. I'm just trying to figure out where the heck I am because the internet's awful. Yeah. I eventually was able to figure it out. Mm-hmm. Eventually. But obviously the problem is that, again, when your internet isn't great out there, that doesn't mean you can necessarily, quote unquote, complete the order.
No.
Sometimes, because like you take it out to the curb or whatever they want you to deliver it to, you try to press the button that says complete the order.
And just get
Guess
nothing.
what doesn't happen?
Yes.
So like I'm sitting there trying not to get mugged by Freddy Krueger, like having no idea what to do. So eventually, and here's what I've eventually learned to do. I deliver the order. Obviously, I place it where they want, and I just drive away. And eventually, when it pops up, I press the button, because that's all you can do in some of those situations. If the internet just straight out just doesn't want to, work with you.
Yep.
Which happens more times than you could think. And there's another story I have, which this one was probably my most frustrating DoorDash story.
Oh boy.
So I had to deliver a steak dinner to someone or whatever.
Yep.
And it was a good tip too. I think I made $15 off the order in all.
Okay.
It was a great tip. I'm sitting there trying to figure out how to communicate with this app, because this app was not having it at all. It couldn't register that I was at the store to begin with.
Yeah.
So we're already running into another problem. I don't know exactly what, because again, this happened a year ago. I don't know exactly what I did, but I think eventually I just kind of either refreshed the app or restarted, but eventually it cooperated where I was able to pick up the order. Great. Yeah. But the problem is that, as you can tell, this takes up a lot of time. And the way that DoorDash's algorithm works is that the more time you take on orders, the worse performance score or whatever you're going to get, which means you're going to get recommended to get less orders and make less money in tandem.
So it's like Crazy Taxi.
Yeah, but worse, because it's actually real life.
Yeah, of course.
So I'm sitting there fiddling around with this steak order. Eventually, I'm able to get to the residence, but again, the internet was bugging out. Nothing was working.
No.
So first of all, I think I got the address wrong. First of all, so I had to I drive a little bit further to get where I was supposed to go.
Yep.
And it just wouldn't register. I could deliver the order. It just wasn't happening. It didn't matter where I was going. The internet was shorting out. Nothing was working.
No.
I don't know why this app sucks. I hate it. I hate it so much. I am in a one-sided abusive relationship, and its name is DoorDash. And eventually, I was able to figure it out. But I was so, honest to God, frustrated at the darn app, because if it was going to mess up this, I didn't want to work that day.
Of course.
So I didn't. I just went home after my $15 steak dinner tip and was like, I'm just going to scream.
No, it's all over. Wow. I've when it comes to internet issues, obviously I don't DoorDash, but
I mean, you order DoorDash.
I order DoorDash.
It hopes to see me.
I cannot wait for that. That is going to be the funniest thing in the world. But anyways, I do have. This is not well. I guess this is kind of a work store. I want to get away from ZapZone for a little bit, because I have a quintillion amount of stories from ZapZone.
Right.
Very funny ones, like some other great classics. Just kind of a rapid fire here. The bumper cars caught on fire one time.
Nice.
There was smoke pouring out of it. We didn't have to call the fire department. We were able to put it out. But we had to shoo the kids away because it was catching on fire. So... Always a good time.
One kid is just making s'mores.
Oh, absolutely. Just sitting there, just cooking them up.
Has the marshmallows on standby?
Oh, yeah.
Just in case.
Just in case.
Dear God, I need a fire.
Yeah. I need a fire, and I need one now. Well, look no further than ZapZone of Waterford. Let's see. What were some other ones? I said rapid fire, and then here I am. There was
porn on the TV that one time.
There was. I was not there for that one.
Right.
But this is a story that has been told. Every person that works there gets told this story every once in a while. So back in the day, there used to be the TV remote used to have a Velcro thing, and it was on the wall.
Yeah.
In the food area, and they had DirecTV, so you could watch. Your local TV, your cable TV, whatever, right? And your satellite exclusive TV channels. Well, that privilege was taken away for a while. And the reason I found out about this story is I asked one time, I was like, hey, why is there Velcro on the back of this remote? Just a random off-the-cuff question I asked to Cho, like I said, he's the pizza guy, but he's also the veteran worker there. He is the one who has seen it all. But anyways, so he was telling me the tale. So it used to sit out there, and people could watch whatever they wanted. Well, humans. If you know human beings very well, humans have that.
Yeah, because clearly the dogs are listening to this.
Oh, of course, Bolt, absolutely. they have this little cool tendency to do some bad things. So on DirecTV, if you don't have DirecTV, kudos to you. I've given my thoughts on why I don't like cable TV, but
right.
If you do happen to have DirecTV and you've scrolled through the guide every once in a while, you may have seen the pornographic channels.
The adult section.
The adult section. The Brazzers TV.
Ooh,
the Playboy Network.
Oh, no.
The whole 9 yards, right? And most of these channels are pay-per-view.
Right.
So, of course, you have to...
pay for it.
You gotta pay for it. There's really random... There's a very funny comedy sketch. I forget who did it, but he was talking about how he got this cable bill one time, that he went out of town, and his cable bill, when he came back, his kids were home alone, and that they were watching with their grandparents, and they had ordered cable porn.
Oh my
and so
God.
He was asking, he was like, who ordered the porn? And his kid was like, oh, it was grandma and grandpa. And he's trying to blame it on grandma and grandpa. And then the dad that was telling the story was like, well, I didn't have the balls to ask my grandparents or my parents if they had ordered cable porn. Yeah, so I just kind of let him off the hook.
They were that close.
And his other question was, who still pays for it? Which, that's a whole side discussion. Family show here. Right. Not really.
Yeah,
we're borderlining right now.
Family show. Porn.
Yeah, porn. Yeah, there you go. But anyways, so this was pay-per-view, and you had to at least, you had to order it to the Zapzone account, right? For the DirecTV. And so some brave soul decided to do it.
Oh,
he did it. He ordered pay-per-view porn.
Yeah.
At Zapzone. And the worst part is he left it to run.
Oh, no.
He puts it on the TV, and he was out. He was gone. He left.
Without a trace.
Without a trace. And there were kids that were coming in. And they were seeing...
things we cannot describe.
Yeah. We want to stay on iHeartRadio. We like iHeartRadio. We love them for hosting our podcast, being one of the great sources that host our podcast. We don't want to put the little explicit marker on this one.
Yeah.
But he left that on the TV, and he just left for all the kids to see, and it was over. It was over. So that is one of the stories of all time. But yeah. Would you even do that?
Because it's funny.
Because it's funny?
Yeah, dude, it's funny.
You want little Timmy to see things?
I don't know, start him young?
I was just about to say, you're going to say start him young, aren't you?
Listen, they learn eventually.
Neil, that's... If they have internet access, they do.
I mean, half of our class learned about sex ed in 8th grade, dude.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell that story very quickly? I mean, it's very off topic, but...
Well, it's kind of on topic, too.
Yeah, so...
Go ahead.
This was in the 8th grade, ladies and gentlemen, so for context on my situation on if I know how sex works, yes. But...
Yeah. I was hoping so.
I've been there. But no, just kidding. It's a joke. It's a joke. Family show. But my point is that...
This family show bit is going to just run itself into the grave once we hit this. We're going to hit one of these episodes.
Yeah.
It's all over.
It's all over. But my point is that
it's probably when we talk about Bolt 2.
I have had... my God, dude. Enough about bolts. I don't want to see that in my bolts.
Yeah. It's okay.
But
it's okay.
My point is that I learned about all this nonsense earlier than, I guess, my peers at the private school I went to later in life. Because I went to public school at first, and they teach you, second, third grade? Here's how your body works. Oh,
yeah, they just go for it, and then you have the immature second graders that go...
To be fair, I was laughing too. I don't care.
Oh, okay. Well.
But I thought...
It's not safe.
I thought it was funny.
Oh, of course.
The graphics were goofy, but anyway.
Those diagrams made me chuckle.
The resolution was terrible. But,
okay.
But anyway, my point is that I've had this pep talk, I guess, whatever you want to call it, relatively young.
What? The birds and bees?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm assuming some of y'all maybe had it younger, but I guess at the school we went to, Aaron, in the 8th grade, y'all never had that talk.
No. I started at this particular school in 4th grade.
Right.
And they had nothing to say about it.
Right. No, absolutely nothing.
This was all new to me.
Right. So I'm sitting there in health class, and again, boys and girls health class co-ed. And the teacher bless her heart, decides to actually like explain the logistics of everything from both sides, everyone at the same time. Because that's a great idea.
Yeah, of course.
So I'm sitting there already knowing all this nonsense because, like, I don't know, they drill into your head when you're third grade, like, hey, kid,
yeah,
that's what puberty is.
Yeah,
wow.
exactly.
And I'm sitting there just going, okay, like, this is kind of weird, but all right, I get it. And I'm looking around at in the room. You were mortified. Like, you're all looking around at each other like, that's how it works.
You including me in this?
I don't remember your reaction, to be honest, but I remember quite other few people reaction, like, really? And I remember for the rest of the day, very silent.
Oh, of course.
Like, they were traumatized. Like, that's what the pituitary gland is?
That's what that does?
Man, I just thought I had a pen in my pocket the whole time.
Like everybody? Boys and girls?
Yeah, dude. I just got a ballpoint in there all the time.
Oh, man.
So stupid.
And there goes the explicit mark on this podcast.
No, it was actually a pen.
No, okay.
You don't know that, Aaron.
Okay.
But anyway.
Sure.
Remember, the moral of the story is this. Kids, teach how to make kids young.
Yeah.
Because eventually, you don't want them figuring it out by, first of all, wasting your money, and second of all, seeing stuff they shouldn't see.
Yeah, there you go. Well, sometimes you just bring your kids to Zap Zone, and it's just right there on the TV for everyone to see.
Amen. Yeah.
Zap Zone was quite the place. I'm going to move away from Zap Zone for a little bit.
Talk about a radio story.
I'm talking about a radio story. Okay. So this is something that happened at, it was both at WPON, but I was at WNZK. Now, for those that don't know, WPON and WNZK are in the same building. They're they're in the same suite. They're right across the hall. Sort of. You have to kind of go down a little bit of an L shape, but it's in the same suite. It's within like 20 steps. So anyways, this was, I will never forget this in all of my life. I was working a 9 to 6 shift on Saturday, which either is or was, depending on if I'm still working in this in the future proofing here. But anyways, it was or is my my regular Saturday shift.
Right.
And I was working and everything was fine, and I got the call from the owner, Seema Birak. Seema's a really nice guy. He's a nice guy. He's treated us well, even when we were doing the show. Yeah. He blessed us with 5 days a week. It was great. But we decided to do podcasting instead. So there we go. But anyways, so he calls me. He does what I call the Seema check-in. The Seema check-in, it's the standard procedure. He calls me on the main line. Hey, Seema, what's going on? Everything all right? Yes, everything is all right. Everything's going okay. Okay, just keep an eye on the place. Thank you. Yep, you're welcome. Bye. Hang up the phone. Well, this time he had something else to tell me, that I was going to be working overtime.
Overtime?
Yeah, overtime. So there was this other guy that came in, and he's a nice guy too. He pays me well. You know, he actually threw me an extra $50 that day. But he has a show on NZK for 4 hours.
Wow.
6 until 10. Now, I don't speak Arabic, for those that know. I know a few Arabic words here and there because I've worked at WNZK for almost seven months now. So I know a few Arabic words. But his whole show's in Arabic. I don't speak it. So I just kind of sit there on my phone. He does his own thing and just make sure, as long as I make sure it's on the air, he's fine.
Right.
He lets me, he's like, just play on your phone or whatever. So I'm like, okay, sure.
All right.
So this was great. This was fantastic. 10 o'clock, I'm tired, right? I've already stayed there for over, 4 hours over. I'm done. I want to go home. 10 o'clock hits. As soon, the millisecond that the clock hits 10, the power goes out. Oh. And WNZK, WPON, Seema's domain, if you will, doesn't have a backup generator. Most stations do. It's WHMI, where I work at right now, future proofing. Maybe I don't. I used to. It has a generator. So it's perfectly fine. Power goes out, generator kicks in. Nothing. It's like nothing even changed.
Right.
But Seema doesn't. So the power was out, and this guy, the guy that comes in to do 6 to 10 show, he had recently had knee surgery. So he's walking with a walker. And we're up in the 11th floor of this building.
Yeah.
And so he's like, I want to go home. It's like, okay, that's fair. How? The elevators don't work. He was like, oh, I'll just take the stairs.
You have a walker.
I sit up and I look at this man. I go, excuse me, what? You want to take the stairs after you just had knee surgery and can barely walk?
Right.
He was like, yeah, I'll just take the stairs. I'm like, okay. So I grabbed his, I took his walker.
Yeah.
He used it to get to the stairwell. He gets in there and he's holding onto the rails for dear life.
Yeah.
And we go down 11 flights of stairs.
Wow.
And he is a trooper. He sits down every once in a while to kind of catch his breath because he's an older guy. He's in his 70s. And so we just keep going round and round and round. It took him about 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Which, obviously, yeah. But we eventually got downstairs. Power's still out. He gets in his car. We say goodbye. There you go. So I called Simo. I was like, hey, just want to let you know power went out. He was like, okay, can you stay a little bit longer for me? I was like, oh no, you got to be kidding me.
Right.
So I went back upstairs and I'm sitting there and I look at my phone for DTE because he was like, call DTE. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to call DTE. I'm going to use the app because I actually had decent cell service.
Sure.
Mostly because a lot of the TV stations in Detroit are down there, and a lot of those towers, the TV towers down there are cell towers, and they're all generators, so they're all still online. So I had pretty decent cell service, so I get on there and I look for DTE, report the outage, whatever. And I'm sitting there and I called Simo. I was like, hey, I let them know what's going on. They haven't sent anything yet. They have no idea what's going on power-wise. So he was like, okay, just set it, stay there for a little bit longer. Okay, sure. It is now 11:30.
Yeah.
I am still sitting there. Mm-hmm. I look at DTE again. Sima calls me. Has anything changed? No. Okay, just keep sitting there. It's now 12:30. Nothing has changed. Mm-hmm. It is now a new day, and power is still out.
Yeah.
So Sima calls me again. Says, what's going on? Is everything all right? No, it's not. The power's out. Okay, just keep sitting there. I'm not going to say fuming. I was mad. I was pissed. I've been here since 9 o'clock in the morning. Keep that in mind.
Yeah.
9 o'clock in the morning, and it is now 1 o'clock in the morning. Mm-hmm. And eventually, Sima calls me, and he goes, I'm going to have another guy come in, and he's going to sit there and, wait. You need to go home. I was like, yeah, I need to go home about 3 hours ago, but sure. So he gets the other guy. He's like, just wait there for the guy.
Gotta wait for the guy.
So the thing is, when the power goes out there, if it ever does, you have to manually reset up everything.
Yeah.
You have to get all the stations back on the air. You have to reset the little box, they're called barracks boxes that send the audio out to the transmitter. Mm-hmm. You got to get that reset up. You got to turn on all the recording computers, the streaming computers.
Everything.
You have to get it all back set up. So I was, the other guy shows up. He's like, hey, how long have you been here? 9 o'clock in the morning. He was like, go home. He didn't even, had no other words for me. Just go home.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, yeah, I'm going home. So I went down the stairs again and got in my car and I left. And I didn't get home until about 2 o'clock in the morning.
Whew.
I checked the DTE app because I actually set notifications to see if anything changed. And I went to bed. I got up at 9 a.m. and I checked my phone. Power wasn't restored until 5:30.
Oh my God.
You want to know the reason for the power outage? The
Why?
whole time why I had to sit there? Because DTE, Detroit Edison, for those that live out of state, was putting in a new transformer at 10 o'clock at night.
Oh my gosh.
They decided, just because, to put in a new transformer and made me sit overtime.
Overtime?
From 6 p.m. all the way till 1:30 in the morning.
So what you're saying is, Aaron, is that you had to stay after hours.
I did have to stay after hours.
And that's what you guys just did with this episode. Because
yes, you did.
We are well past the hour mark, if I'm
very much so.
So I think that's where we're going to end it off here. So
yes.
Thank you guys so much for listening. Check out our social medias. We have all sorts of fun stuff always on there. I'm Charlie Robinson. I'll see you next time.
And I'm Aaron Gresser, and thank you so much for listening. This might have to be a part 2 because I have so many more tales
to
tell.
We have 3 other people we have not talked to about this yet.
Absolutely. I'm sure Bryce and George and Shane would all have some great tales to tell. So, but anyways, we will catch you next time. And thank you for staying after hours. Goodbye. Thank you for listening to the Double After Hours podcast. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Be sure to check out our social media pages on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. I'm Aaron Gresser, and thanks for staying after hours.